Hi everyone, welcome back to Lulumath. This video is on how to solve multi-step equations. And for starters, you'll need to know how to use the distributive property and how to combine or collect like terms in equations. And you'll also need to know how to solve equations with variables on both sides. So let's go ahead and solve this first equation that we see here. Now, before we solve our equations, we want to simplify each side. We want each side to be as simple and as easy as possible to deal with, so that way when we actually start to do our inverse operations, it's a lot easier to deal with. We can do our inverse operations before we simplify, but that's going to cause us to have a lot of extra steps that we don't need to have. So the first thing we want to do when we simplify is distribute. Again, you don't have to distribute first. For example, if I wanted to, I could get rid of this 9x before I distribute, but simplifying first makes things a lot easier. And I'm going to color code this so you can see what we're doing as we go through and solve. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look and see, are there any numbers that need to be multiplied through to expressions that are written in brackets or parentheses? So here I see this 4 is getting multiplied through to the 2x into the negative 7. So 4 times 2x is 8x. And then 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. And then I'm just going to copy the rest of this equation down. So I'm going to copy down the plus 9x. And then I'm going to copy down the equal sign. And the equal sign is so important to make sure that we're separating the two sides of our equations from each other. And then I'm going to copy down the 21, the plus 6x, and the negative 5. Now, each side of my equation is not completely simplified because I have like terms. So the next thing I'm going to want to do is combine or collect my like terms, but I have to make sure that I treat each side of the equation separately. So I have my left side of my equation and my right side of my equation. So here I can put the 8x together with this 9x, but I cannot combine it with the 6x because they're not on the same side. So when I put 8x and 9x together, I end up getting 17x. And then nothing is like the negative 28 on the left side. Even though there's a 21 and a negative 5 on the right side, they're not on the same side. So I'm just going to copy down this minus 28 and the equal sign. Now on the right side, I see that I have a 21 and a negative 5. And 21 and negative 5 are like terms because they're constants. So 21 minus 5 gives me 16. And then the 6x, nothing is like it, so I'm just going to copy down plus 6x. Now my two sides of my equations are simplified. Now that I've done that, I'm going to get the variables on one side and the constants on the other side. And again, it does not matter what I choose to get rid of at this point. I can get rid of the 17x, the negative 28, the 16, or the 6x. It's entirely up to me. I'm going to get rid of the variables from one side and I'm going to put it on the other side. And I'm going to keep the variables on the side that has more variables on it. So I've got 17x and 16x. 17 is bigger than 6, so I'm going to get rid of the 6x. To get rid of this 6x, I would have to subtract it. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side right here. So when I do that, I end up getting 11x, and then I copy down the minus 28, and then equals 16. Okay, so now the variables are all on the left side. There are no more variables on the right side. So since the variables are on the left side, we're going to keep the left side for variables, and we're going to kick off the constants. We don't want the constants anymore. So I'm going to get rid of this minus 28. To get rid of it, I would add 28 to both sides. So 16 plus 28 is 44. And then negative 28 plus 28 is nothing. It cancels out. Just like 6x minus 6x was nothing. It canceled out. So I've got 11x left over. So 11x equals 44. Last thing that I'm going to do is multiply or divide to solve. Because now that I've got the variables on one side and the constants on the other, all I have to do is get rid of that coefficient. So 11 times x, I want to divide by 11 because I still want the x left over. I want 1x, but I don't want the 11. And then 44 divided by 11 is 4, so my final answer is 4. Really quickly, at this step right here, the 17x minus 28 equals 16 plus 6x. I'm showing you the operation I'm doing at this point right here, so I'm showing you that I'm subtracting 6x. But if you don't want to show that step, you don't have to. So in my head, I know that 17x minus 6x, and I have to subtract 6x to get rid of it, gives me 11x. So I'm just going to write down 11x, and then I copy down the minus 28 equals 16. 16. Now I want to get rid of this minus 28, and the opposite of subtraction is addition, so I'm just going to add 28 to both sides. The negative 28's cancel, so I've got 11x left over, and then 16 plus 28 is 44. Divide both sides by 11, and I end up getting x equals 4. So you don't have to show all these extra little steps that we have here. I'm writing it in so you can see where we're getting these numbers from. All right, let's take a look at our next example. So again, we want to simplify both sides of our equation. We want our equation to not look as crazy and scary as it does right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of any brackets or parentheses that I have here, and I'm going to get rid of it through distributing. So this 8c, nothing is being distributed there, so I'm just going to copy that down. But I have a negative 5, and make sure you are distributing a negative and not a positive. So when I distribute negative 5 to 3c to positive 3c, negative 5 times positive 3c is negative 15c, and then negative 5 times negative 6 is positive 30. Then I just copy down this minus 44. Then I will copy down this 10c. And now I will distribute this negative 7 through, and make sure you multiply by a negative 7. So negative 7 times 3 is negative 21. And then negative 7 multiplied by c is negative 7c. And then I'll copy down this plus 13. Now I've gotten rid of all of my brackets or my parentheses, but my equation is still not fully simplified. So now I need to combine or collect my like terms and make sure you treat each side of the equation separately. 8c and negative 15c are like each other, and I don't put any other c's together with it because the rest of the c's are on the right side. So 8c minus 15c is negative 7c. And then I have 30 and negative 44. Those are like each other. They're constants and they're on the same side. So when I put 30 and negative 44 together, I end up getting negative 14. On the right side, I have 10c and negative 7c. So when I put those two together, I get 3c. And I also have my constant, so I've got negative 21 and positive 13. And when I put those together, I will end up getting negative 8. Now, the two sides of my equation are completely simplified. On the left side, I have one set of variables, one set of constants. On the right side, I have one set of variables, one set of constants. I can't simplify either side any further. Great. So now I want to get the variables on one side and the constants on the other side. So I'm going to get my constants together on the same side first. So I'm going to get rid of this minus 14. Now to get rid of the minus 14, I would add 14. And whatever I do to one side, I would do to the other side. So negative 8 plus 14 gives me 6. And then I just copy down the 3c and the negative 7c. And this is a positive 6, so I'll put plus 6. Now, since I have all of my constants on the right side, I don't want any more constants on the right side. So I'm going to get rid of the variable. So I'm going to get rid of this 3c. So to get rid of this positive 3c, I'm going to subtract 3c. And whatever I do to one side, I always do to the other side. And 3c minus 3c is 0, which is what I want. And 0 plus 6 is 6, which is going to work out for me. Now, when I do negative 7c minus 3c, I end up getting negative 10c. Now I can multiply or divide to solve. So here I have negative 10 multiplied by c. So the opposite of multiplication is division. I'm going to get rid of only the negative 10 because I still want the c left over. I want 1c. And to make a negative 10 turn into a 1, I would divide by negative 10. So this would end up being 1c or just c. And then I get c equals 6 over negative 10. Now I can reduce it, and they're both divisible by 2. So my answer here would be negative 3/5, or I could just leave it as negative 6/10 as a decimal. And this is my final answer. That's it for this video. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below or at lulumath.com, where you can find blank or completed notes for this video. If you found this video to be useful, please make sure to subscribe and share with others. Thank you, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.